So, welcome everybody to another episode of Ex-Muslim Somali Voices. This is a channel that's dedicated to the voices of ex-Muslim Somalis. And today we have, I think I'm going to let her introduce herself. So,
Okay.
welcome, love.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
If you could just introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. My name is Naz. I'm 23 years old. I became an ex-Muslim when I was 16. I went to actually 4 Islamic schools in my life, and 2 of them were Islamic boarding schools, which I think we're going to talk about more in this recording.
Yeah, and you're joining us from the UK, right?
I'm from the UK. Yeah, by the way, I'm from the UK. I'm studying software engineering. It's my final year. I'm about to graduate soon.
Okay, I'm really happy to have you.
Yeah.
Of course, the audience doesn't know, but we did a recording earlier and it wasn't, the sound was not very good, so we had to kind of redo this. So I'm really happy that you can make the time to join me again. I really appreciate that. To start off, just tell us a little bit about your there are 2 things that I really want to start off the bat, which is one is that time when you had a coming out social media thing and the backlash that was there, and then we will get more deeper into your story. So if you could just first start off with that.
Yeah. So I think it was in July. I posted a picture of me in a bikini. And I wrote that I was really happy that I'm Somali and I'm ex-Muslim, and I love the fact that I can feel the sun on my skin. I didn't even say anything bad about Islam. I didn't say anything terrible. And for some reason, it kind of went viral. Just me saying I'm Somali and I'm not Muslim. That went viral, and I got a lot of hate for that, and a lot of people telling me I'm going to hell. But I did get a lot of support as well, which was nice. But it was such a simple picture. It was just me in a bikini.
So just a very simple picture, like what normally most people would do, like post their pictures on Instagram or whatever, of you just expressing your happiness for being in a bikini for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Which I never got to do growing up. If we ever were to go swimming, we'd have to wear the burkini. Like my mom would make us wear the burkini or something that would cover our entire body. But when we did move to Africa, when we lived in Mombasa, we weren't allowed to go in the water unless we went in the water with our jilbab or with like our batis and stuff like that, and fully covered, completely covered. So why would you do that? You would drown. So we used to just like not be able to go inside, me and my sister.
So, but for the benefit of our audience, you were born in the UK, but you were brought up in a very orthodox sort of setting.
Very, 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 very religious. Like I would describe my mother as an ISIS sympathizer. That's how religious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your maybe your early days, school versus home life and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So okay, so this was a typical day for me. I would go to school in the morning, come back from school. Sometimes we had tuition, so we'd have after school homework, like help things with that. And then we'd go to madrasa, so duksi, which is like the school that you go to learn Arabic and Quran.
Okay,
and
duksi, for the purpose of our audience, duksi would be a Quran school, a Quran reading school of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think we were there for 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours every single day, except Fridays. And in the holidays, we used to read the Quran as well. There was a time my mom threw away the TV and threw away the TV for like a year. We weren't allowed to watch TV. And that summer we read, she wanted us to memorize the entire Quran that summer. So she would make us like memorize 2 pages of the Quran every day and recite it back to her. So yeah, that was my life. Basically, Quran was my life. Every morning, my mom would put on those cassettes that read the Quran with the I don't remember who the reciter was, but the one with the kids. So the guy says it, and then the kids follow, or it's like the auto tune version. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
those
yeah,
taped
mhm,
Quran teachers, right?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
you have to like
yeah,
repeat
yeah.
after them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. There was no music in my household. Even though I'm Somali, like my mom didn't listen to Somali music at all. Never ever. The only song that I knew growing up because she sang it so many times is Najmai. No, Najmai, right?
No, I don't.
You don't know that song? You don't know it's the most famous Somali song. Such a nice song, by the way. You should listen to it after. Yeah, so that was the only song she used to sing, and she was singing that very randomly. You know, it wasn't like an all the time thing. We listened to Quran. Quran was our music, and if we didn't listen to Quran, we listened to nasheeds, like the nasheeds.
Yeah.
With no music though, because music is haram. So it was just voices, and yeah.
Oh wow.
All
And you did go to a public primary school
primary
and
school. Yeah, I went to primary school. That was public. My secondary school was Islamic school.
okay, before we get to the secondary school, you did mention something about when you guys were going to swimming lessons or whatnot, or after school
Yeah.
activities in the UK.
Mhm,
The fact that you had to wear a burkini. Can you talk about
mhm,
that?
mhm. Yeah, so basically only like you're basically wearing a hijab. It's like this I don't remember what it's called. But that material, like that swimming costume,
Yes.
polyester. Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that material basically that was like a hijab kind of attached to what's it called? Like kind of attached to a bodysuit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it also has a little skirt attached to it, which is really weird because okay, whatever.
No, no, but I wanna understand, and I'm sure also our audience would be curious, like if you could explain that experience, like you living in the UK and you going to
Yeah,
swimming
it was
classes,
yeah,
what
like
your experience is different from the other
yeah,
kids in the swimming
it's
pool.
exactly like I'm already a minority because I'm probably either the only black kid or there's like two, three black kids in the class. But then I'm even more singled out because I'm the one that's wearing that burkini, you know. Like everyone else, we're children, you know. I was a kid, I was like 8, 9, 10, around that time,
Mhm.
like those ages anyway. And I'd have to be wearing the burkini, and it's so hypersexualized because I'm a child, you know, who's actually going to be looking at me in a way that I'd have to cover my body anyway. Do you know what I mean? Which is the reason for hijab and covering your aura,
No,
which
but do you remember how? Do you
how
remember
it
like
felt.
your experience, how you were feeling around your
Yeah,
classmates and your
I felt.
swim mates?
Mhm. I felt I first of all I felt like there was like a flashlight turned on me, you know, like if there was I was basically everyone was basically focusing on me, you know, and it was weird because then they'll be like, oh, can you swim in that? Blah, like the teachers will like have conversations with themselves as well, like, do you think we should let her swim with that? Blah blah blah. But I was a kid and I really wanted to swim because everyone else is swimming, all my friends are swimming, and swimming is fun. And I knew that they didn't want to like hurt my feelings, so they would let me swim. But it was kind of weird, you know, like you like especially when you're coming out of the pool. Like when you're in the pool, it's okay because everyone's swimming, everyone's in the water. But when you're out of the pool or when you're walking around, it's embarrassing. You feel like everybody's watching you. You feel like you're very, very different, and you don't understand. Like at that age, especially, you really don't understand because swimming is not I don't know how to explain it. Like okay, so because I was raised in such an
Of
Islamic
course,
household,
an 8-year-old kid,
exactly,
you
don't
don't
understand
understand that. Yeah, you
exactly.
like you literally you're feeling like Why am I different from my peers, for my
Exactly.
other, for my friend who's an 8-year-old? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was always weird to me growing up. Anyway, the fact that women had to cover up and women had to like hishod, like be like well, how do you say hishod in English? Like be
Hishod is more like the only way I
humble.
interpret it from Somali is uh, shame. It's a shame
Yeah,
culture. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So it's
feel
like
ashamed, sort of.
yeah, exactly. They
Yeah,
want us to just feel ashamed all the time, you know what I mean? It's like, don't do that. Are you ashamed that you're doing this? And it's like, wow, I'm just like, for example, my mom used to always say, don't laugh too loud. Like, don't talk too loud. Like, it's quite a short kind of thing. Like, you know, like be ashamed of yourself. Don't make your voice heard. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
But do you
Because
feel like this was stemming from your mom's own maybe cultural things, or this is like
no,
really
it's
how it is
it's
as well
it's
in most Islamic households?
Um, to be honest, my mum was typically more religious than anyone that I knew in her life. For
Mm-hmm.
example, she's more religious than my maybe not. I've got one uncle that is incredibly religious, but like my family is pretty religious.
Okay.
But my mom is the most religious, let me say. And the people that my mom surrounds herself with, they're really, really religious too. But she even then she's more religious than them, you know what I mean? Because she'll be the ones she knows everything about Islam, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't say to her, for example, you know that slavery is allowed in Islam because she'll be like, I know, but it's not a problem for her because she would say, well, who are we to say what's right and wrong? Allah said it's right. So I don't care if we don't agree with it. It's right. So we're going to follow it exactly like that. Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and
it's
that happens with a lot of people and how they justify what's written in Islamic text.
Mhm,
But I do wanna I'm quite curious because I don't want to run out of time with your story because it's quite an intriguing story.
mhm.
So you were growing up in the UK and you were wearing all this bikini to swimming class and all that on that kind of stuff. At some point in your life, I don't know what your age you were, you had to leave the UK to go abroad.
Yeah, so well, we don't have to. My mom moved because she decided that this country, she thought the UK was a kuffar country. She didn't want to live in it anymore. She thought it was full of fitna, which means like evil things that will make you go
Yeah,
to hell.
fitna is yeah, evil,
Yeah,
evil.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that's what she thought. She said that I can't raise my kids in this country anymore because you're all going to become, in her words, prostitutes and drug dealers kind of thing. That was her mindset, you know what I mean? So she was like, and I need you guys to learn the Quran because at the end of the day, we're on this earth, we're in the world. Purely, this is a test. Everything we're doing is a test. The most important thing is for you guys to be knowledgeable in the faith and in your faith, so that you can go to heaven. Because at the end of the day, you could be like her mindset was like she did want us to do well as well. You know, she wanted us to do well in school because she's strict. She won't let us come back home with an A with a B or a C or something like that. So it was
oh
kind of
shit,
hard because we had the pressure. Yeah, we had academic pressure and we also had the Islamic pressure. You know what I mean? It
yeah.
was a rough childhood, guys. But
No, I know. I mean, it's horrific. It's not really funny that much.
no, but
And
I laugh at it all the time. This is my
yeah, no,
humor,
yeah,
honestly. Yeah, it's
I
dark.
know, yeah, I know. But what I wanna maybe if you could, and of course you if you don't want to get into too much detail, it's up to you. But if you could tell us like the time that then your family decided that you guys okay you're living in a kuffar country, you're gonna be more kuffarized.
Mhm.
I don't even know if that's a word. Okay, you're gonna be
Let's just say westernized, yeah.
yeah. And
Uh,
she needed to ship you back to homeland. Can
yeah.
you talk about that?
Yeah. So since I was a kid, I think I was like 13ish, 12ish, 13ish. Um So I was definitely, yeah, I think I was 12 turning 13 because it was in 2010. Yeah. So yeah, so basically I was a kid. I was very, very stupid because I thought, so this is how my mom said, she said we're going to Africa for a holiday. That's what she said. And we were super excited because it was the first time that we left the country, like we left the UK. And she was like, we're gonna go there for a holiday. And we asked her, can we go get animals? And she was like, yeah, you can get whatever animal you want. So what I was envisioning was that Africa was basically, you know, Madagascar, the movie.
Oh,
So we asked her if
poor
we can buy.
child.
I know we were so innocent. We asked her, "Can you buy us a giraffe and a lion and things like that?" She said, "Yeah, sure. I'll buy you whatever you guys want." And then when we actually went, so we were very excited. We were very very like for us, it wasn't like when we left, it was kind of
Like
like
you had no idea. Wait,
no idea.
basically you only had an idea of what you see on television.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the way that my mom was telling it to us, she was like, we're going to have a huge house in Africa, blah, 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 blah. And bear in mind, my mom left Africa when she was 16. So she hasn't gone back for many, 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 many years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even when we went to Kenya, when we went to Uganda first, she was like, even her, she had the cultural shock, you know. It wasn't like how she remembered Somalia and it's
But did you have any idea about what she was planning for you guys? Like, was there any telltale signs, or did you overhear any conversations or whatnot? Oh,
No. She just decided one day that we're going to Africa.
so then what happened?
So it was after I finished year 7, and I was going to go to year 8, so the next academic year. And then we went to Africa, and then we realized that it wasn't the same as how we thought it would be, like the way that my mom described it. And she was like under a lot of stress, and she just wanted us to be. And so she moved us next to another Islamic school in Uganda, so really close to the school. That's where our house was. And next thing you know, we're being enrolled into the school, and then she told us, "You're not leaving until you finish the Quran."
Wait. So was this like at some point where there was a school holiday in the UK for your normal school? Okay,
It was
so then you go to Africa, and and you're all excited, and you think it's a holiday, and then it's not a holiday.
No. She enrolls us in school basically the next few days later.
Okay, and what kind of schools were this?
It was an Islamic school. Yeah, it's called Tawheed. If you Google it, you'll see it. It's in Kampala, in the capital city of Uganda. And obviously, Africa is very, 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 very different to the UK. It took us about 20 minutes, me and my brother and my sisters, like me and my brothers and sister, we realized like 20 minutes later that this was not for us and we didn't like it. Huh? We just knew that straight away. Like I'm not going to say.
From the arrival date, you mean?
Yeah. So
okay.
once we arrived, we realized, oh, this is not like how we imagined it, and we probably don't like it here. And we were like, okay, I kind of want to go back to the UK now, you know?
Yeah.
And then every day longer that we were there, it was like, okay, I really want to go back to the UK now. I hate this place. Like, we can't drink the water. We got sick the second day that we were there. Really, really, really sick. I think my sister had bird flu. Like, it was insane. We got so ill because we don't understand anything. We don't really know that you're not allowed to drink the water from the tap. We don't really know that our immune system is not used to the food there. You know what I mean? And we're being attacked by mosquitoes left and right because we don't understand. We're from the UK. We grew up there, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone, like.
So basically, it was like you arrive, and at first, while you're on your way, you're like all excited and thinking that it's a super nice holiday, but then shock on you, it's not, you don't like it. So then, do you then explain or do you communicate with your parents or your mom?
No. Okay, so the way that she raised us is her way or the highway. So we never, ever, ever, ever had a choice in any situation. She would just inform us of like what she decided. We weren't really part of the decision making, you know. And because we never said no to her growing up, we couldn't even, like, we would tell her we don't like it here, and she'll be like, I don't care, you have to finish the Quran, and then you'll leave.
How old were you at this time?
I think I was like 13, yeah.
13. And so I'm imagining a 13-year-old who was born in a Western country, never been.
Oldest.
You were the oldest.
Younger than me.
The others
Yeah.
are younger even.
Yeah,
And
babies though.
and born in the UK, never been back to your parents' home country. And
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, it was nice and exciting to think about it, but now we don't want to be here. So what's going through your mind at that moment? Are you like thinking, okay, we can tell mom to go back, or what are you thinking?
We basically told her that every second of the day. We said we don't want to be here. When we were sick, dying in hospital, we're like, we don't want to be here. Let's go back. Let's go back. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I have to go to school. Like, I'm gonna be in year 8, you know. And I was really excited about that because, you know, when you go to high school, like the first year, and you're like, okay, I'm getting older. I'm gonna continue learning, and then we're in a place that, like, literally, our excitement went from here to like this, like to nothing in like 3 days. We really, really didn't want to be there. And then after we were enrolled in school, my mom got us a teacher to teach us Quran basically straight away.
Your uncle?
No,
Extended
not my
family,
uncle. No. Just random. We don't have any family in Uganda.
Oh, okay. So it was just your mom arranging things with other schools and
Somali
whatnot.
people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. So basically, she got us. So basically, I think my mom wanted us to settle as quickly as possible so that she would have she'd have a reason to stay, you know?
Okay.
So we were enrolled by the first week. We had a ma'alim, we had a teacher to teach us Quran by the first week.
Ma'alim, by the way, is like a teacher, a tutor that comes home and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that teaches us Islamic studies. Yeah. So we had all of that done already, you know? And yeah, that was the start of my new life from there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is now Uganda. It's already not looking very great. You get enrolled in a small Islamic school, and then you did move from Uganda to another African country, neighboring African country.
Kenya.
Okay, talk about that.
Kenya, yeah. So I think we stayed in Uganda for about 10 months or something. We went there for too long. And then we moved to Mombasa. Yeah, we moved to Mombasa first.
That's the port city of Kenya.
Kenya.
Which is the second largest city in Kenya.
Yeah. Yeah. It's lovely if you're not being forced to be there. Let me say.
But it's not if you are.
Yeah. If you're being forced, it's like it's so unfair when being forced, because we weren't allowed to like leave the house or like go
you got
have an adventure or anything.
Can you repeat that? The last thing you said was it's nice if you're not being forced. So can you take from there?
Because you don't have freedom. Yeah. So if you don't have freedom, then obviously it's going to be terrible. And it's super sad because you're looking at the city and you see how nice it is, and there's so many beaches, so many places to eat, but we don't really have that freedom to do whatever we want, you know? So it's kind of a waste of time. We were just in Mombasa, but in a house. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you in Mombasa before again then moving to some other place in Kenya, I guess?
Yeah. So we were in Mombasa for a whole year, I think. Yeah, a year and a half maybe. Okay, so we moved to Mombasa in 2011. Yeah, the whole of 2011 basically. I think
how was the experience in that year?
Because Kenya is different to Uganda. The Ugandan system of education, you don't need to learn Kiswahili.
Okay.
You don't need to know that.
Yeah, but in Kenya,
yeah, you have to. So to get into a school, you have to have at least some level of Kiswahili.
Yeah.
So we spent the first few months learning Kiswahili, which was fine. It was okay. We still had a ma'alim come to our house, who used to abuse the shit out of us every single day because like after Uganda, it was kind of like it really built our characters, you know. We decided to become more rebellious in that time. And because my mom wasn't with us a lot of the time in Uganda, she'll come visit. Like she would go back to the UK and then she'll
Wait,
come
wait,
visit
wait,
us.
wait, wait, wait. Let me get this straight. So your
Yeah.
mom takes you out of the UK and takes you to Uganda and leaves you there?
Yeah, she left us
With who?
with my cousin. But we had a cleaner. We had a maid. Clean.
Wow.
So she used to cook and clean for us, but my cousin would look after us, make sure we go to school, come back, and we also had a ma'alim to teach us as well. So to be honest, that year was pretty cool because we got to make friends from the school, like kind of hang out with them, but not really because it was Africa at the end of the day. It's kind of scary to just go walking around. And
Yeah.
I was like 13. So we had like video games. We had like Nintendo Wii, Xbox, things like that. So that's what we did all day after school. If we didn't have Island, we would play video games the whole day. So it wasn't as bad. But when my mom came to live with us in Kenya, so when we moved to Kenya, she came to live with us.
Yeah.
And then after that we went to boarding school. But while she was living with us, it was way, 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 way worse because in that time, like anytime we were free, let me say, we had to read Quran. Like she'll get
So,
annoyed like after if
what
there's
what
too
would you
long.
say? What would you say was your mom's motivation? Was she feeling like more? Did she get more religious because of her environment in the UK, or do you think she got more religious for some other reason? What was her motivation to actually put you guys through this entire journeys?
My mom wants us to be really educated in the sense like we have university degrees and things like that, but also be incredibly religious at the same time. That's her dream, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She wants us to she wants to present us to the world as like, look at my child. Not only is my child a hafid, so memorize the Quran, but also highly educated. That was her motivation, you know.
Okay.
And religion is so important for my mom. So like my mom, if my mom talks to non-Muslims, about maybe half an hour into the conversation, she'll start talking about religion and then she'll try to bring them in. She converted, I think, 3 people.
Okay, so yeah, and that part I'm sure we can
Yeah,
talk about it, and
yeah,
we'll probably like spend 2 hours on that
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
But I am really curious about your experience as when you now, like your mom came back to live with you guys. Hey there, love. Oh, you got cut off. I just want to know exactly what happened from the point of Uganda with only a maid and an Islamic
In
teacher,
Uganda,
and
Uganda,
then
yeah,
in Kenya, having to do like a bridging course for English, and then getting introduced to the Kenyan school system, but not exactly the real Kenyan school system, was it?
yeah.
Was
No,
it the
because
real Kenyan school system, or was it like some form of?
it was the real one because we had to practice and do our KCPE.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is like the
yeah,
equivalent.
I know KCP.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
done it. So
yeah.
it's like it's like year 8
Yeah,
GCE.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
GCSE. Yeah,
GCSE. Yeah.
yeah. So we had to. That's what we were studying to do in the school. So yeah, they were kind of serious about it, but because it was an Islamic school, they put more emphasis on Islamic studies. So
Okay.
we'd learn like the basics, like the stuff that you need to do exams on. But even then, not really. You know, it was mostly, Islamic.
But was this like a regular a regular school where you would go home and come back
Yeah,
home? I mean, you
yeah,
would go to school during the day and come back home, or are you
yeah.
talking about the
So
boarding school?
the boarding school, first boarding school that I went to, it was mixed. So a lot of kids were day students and that lived nearby, like that lived really close to the school. Most of the guys, though, most of the boys were boarding, like boarding. Let me say 80% of the guys were boarding, and I was in a really so it was me and about 6 other girls. Like there were not many of us that were in the girls' boarding school. But the girls' boarding school wasn't really a school, it wasn't as developed as the boys' one. So the boys' one was actually inside the school, like inside the but for the girls, it was off campus. So we lived with the director of the school because he had like a separate kind of building that we had our beds and stuff, and his wives used to cook for us.
Do you remember if this was like a regular registered school or was this like an illegal thing going on?
The school was registered. It's called Nyali Integrated Academy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Nyali what?
Nyali Integrated Academy.
Okay, so it's a private school.
Yeah, private
and
Islamic.
A private Islamic school, and then your parents enroll you guys in the private Islamic school in Kenya. But the boys boarding school is the more regular whatever boarding school. They probably they didn't have maybe like so they were starting like a girls boarding school, or I really want to understand this because I have been through regular boarding schools in Kenya, which are they have their problems, but I wouldn't say it's exactly the same experience as yours. I do want to understand like what was different.
Yeah, so the boys' boarding school was actually like the official boarding school for the boys. So they had the rooms with the bunk beds and the toilet. They had that. So there was like, I don't know, there was so many boys in that school. I can't, like, let me say there was about 5 stories, and every story had like the boys' room, the classrooms too. The classrooms were on the other sides of the dorms. Yeah, so there was a lot of, so basically, everyone used to say that was an abandoned prison, the school.
Okay.
School. So yeah, so you can kind of imagine. So that was the official boys' boarding school. The girls' boarding school wasn't official yet. Like we were considered boarders because the director of the school, he kind of organized where we sleep and what we eat, and we pay like the same fees as the boys.
So, and this is in the premises of the director of the school?
Yeah, this is basically at his house, but not inside his house because it's basically a small building right next. It's like in his garden. It's kind of like the 7th quarter.
Within the same compound, let's say.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly the same compound. Yeah. So, which I think there was only 6 of us girls, and we had bunk beds in there, like 3 bunk beds. And we would go eat with the director of the school and his wives. He had 3 wives, and we'd go eat there.
He had 3 wives?
He had 3 wives, yeah. And my mom was number 4.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so, sorry. So, the director of this boarding school that you take
he got married to my
mom. Your mom was the spouse of
was
the 4th or whatever number wife of the guy who owns the boarding school?
Yeah, it was so random because I never saw them talking in my life.
Now that explains a lot of shit.
Yeah, but like it's so weird because like when she enrolled us, that was the only time I've ever seen her speak to him.
So she didn't tell you guys?
No, she didn't tell us. She told us the day before she got married to him.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the thing is, I know this that I don't wanna like downplay any of your experience is like one of the most bizarre that it's not so bizarre because it's kind of common, but it's quite bizarre because I put myself in your shoe and I imagine this kid born in the UK and I'm being all this very and then having all these experiences and so I'm wondering Okay, of course you were young, and nobody can blame you for not being able to say, okay, I don't want to be here. What can I do? Who can I call? But is there any point like you thought about your life back in the UK? Is there anybody you can reach
day,
out?
every day, every day, every day. And that's where I think that was, to be honest, I think I was having issues with mental health, like depression and things like that since I was a kid because I was like in a very religious household. There's a lot of things that I couldn't do. And my mom was really, 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 really strict, like really strict. Like to the point where if we're 5 minutes late from like coming home from school, she'll look for us kind of strict. That's my mom. So but in Africa, it was a million times worse, you know what I mean? Because we don't have the same luxuries as we had in the UK or the things that we're used to, you know? We don't
Yeah.
have the same thing. And also, we're in boarding school, so it was so much worse. So I think that's where I started recognizing my depression because I would think I was sad. And then I started to realize I'm not sad, actually. I just don't care anymore and I don't have any feelings. And the feelings I have are negative. Like I feel guilty. Like I feel like I just want to die, basically. That's how I felt the whole time. So when all of these experiences are happening, I kind of found it funny, not really funny, like humorous funny, but more like nervous laughing funny. Like, oh wow, on
It
top
could
of
have been
that,
a
this is happening.
survival. Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah, exactly.
therapist,
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
can't really say, but
Yeah.
it could
But
have
yeah,
been
I
like
understand like the
a
defense
coping
mechanism.
mechanism, so to
Yeah,
speak.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I think it was. So now I find humor in everything now. But like then it was kind of like, oh wow, what is my mom gonna do next kind of thing? Or oh okay, how is my life going to get worse than this? And then it did. It usually got way worse. So yeah, so I felt horrible. I felt like shit most of the time. I couldn't talk to my mom because as I said before, like it's her way or the highway. She knew though, she knows because all we did was complain. And we'll go to her like we don't want to be here. And then like, but we're complaining to her our complaining is like in vain because she's not going to do anything about it and we know that she's not going to do anything about it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's
I'm
she
assuming, yeah, I'm assuming that uh, they must, or I need to ask that, not assume. Was there
Mhm.
any thought like, how can I reach the British Embassy,
Yeah,
or what kind of
of course,
thing
but I
did
was
you?
really scared. I was terrified because I love my mom so much. I don't want anything bad to happen to her, you know what I mean? I feel like what she's doing is wrong and terrible, but also I'm kind of like, well, she's my mom. If anyone's gonna do it to me, then she's kind of allowed to do it to me, kind of thing, you know? And also, she told us that, like, she never, because we've never actually said to her that we're gonna call the police or we're going to call the embassy. We've never said that, but just to stop us from ever even thinking that, she will say to us, you think that people will take care of you in foster care? You think like if I leave you guys today, like in the middle of the nowhere, no one will care about you. I'm the only one that kind of cares about you. So she drilled that into our heads when we were since we were children, you know, she always used to say that to us. So we have like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing where
That has a name. It's called abuse, and that's called like an abuser would tell a person they're abusing that, yeah, you only have me. You have nowhere else to turn.
exactly, exactly. And to be honest, I'm not trying to make it sound better, but she's right because we're in Africa. Who cares about us? Nobody cares about us, you know what I mean? And we don't have any sort of freedom because she didn't give us any freedom. We don't have a phone. We don't have any money. We don't have any, like, she knew everything that was happening. Okay, for example, if even when we were at home on the holidays from the boarding school, she would just lock the door and leave. Like, we weren't allowed to, like, leave the house or like have friends. Yeah, we weren't allowed to have friends. Like she would read our text messages and stuff. Like once she bought us the phone and we weren't allowed to because we weren't allowed to have access to the internet and we weren't allowed social media. So me and my sister just used to talk to each other and she would read the messages that me and my sister would send to each other and it was like, why? Why? What did you gain from that? But anyway, so yeah, because we have zero freedom. Like I don't even know like how would I even
Did
go
you
about that?
have access to phones and stuff like that in the UK?
Yeah,
So
my
this
mom
was like you had
yeah, but
access and then now suddenly you don't.
like no, so this is how my mom functions. So um if we do well in school, or if we do well in like Islamic school, she buys us whatever we want, kind of thing. So if we tell her we want a phone, she'll buy me a phone, but she will control my use of the phone.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not allowed to have it in school, for example. If I'm using it, I have to be using it in front of her. That kind of thing, you know. And if I piss her off, then she'll take the phone forever.
And that was
So
back in the UK, but then
that
suddenly
was
you're in
UK.
Africa and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
in a boarding
yeah.
school. Okay.
Oh, I didn't
The
do anything in boarding.
yeah, okay. The part that I'm curious is like you were attending school in the school system in the UK. Wasn't
Mhm.
there anybody who missed you from school? Wasn't there anybody who raised a question? Wasn't there anybody who asked where are these kids? They used to be here. Where did they go?
My mom didn't really talk to people, to be honest. I think she had 3, 4 Somali friends, and that's it. And also, we went to an Islamic secondary school, so the government is not going to really follow upon what you're doing if you are enrolled in a private school, you know? It's
Oh,
not
but you
like,
mean in the UK? You were also in an Islamic school in the
yeah,
UK.
yeah, an Islamic secondary school, yeah. So technically, we were off the grid, and there was no one really catching up on us, you know?
Okay, now let's talk about okay, not unless you want to get a little bit more into detail about your experience in Africa,
Hmm.
which I don't even think yours qualifies as Dakar Alice. Yours just qualifies as
No, it's
literally
abuse. It
just
was
moving.
it was abuse. It was abuse, honestly. Like, and like, like seriously, I know I laugh about it now, but like when I think about it, I was so innocent. I didn't question anything. Like, of course, I questioned it in my head, but I
Yeah.
never actually like it was so sad because like growing up, I used to think like I knew that my mom was stricter than other parents, you know. I used to be like, oh, your mom's nice, she's lenient, you know, for letting you have friends, you know. but but like it was really when we went to Africa that I realized that no, my mom is not really okay, you know, and she goes 100 times more extreme than other parents, you know, and because of that, I learned so much about Islam. You know, it's hard not to learn about Islam at that point. So, but the way that I learned, I was the same as my mom. You know, I saw everything in the Quran, everything in Hadith, these questionable things about the Prophet, and I just accepted it because it was kind of like, who am I to say what's right or wrong? You know what I mean?
Okay. So, what do when did you start questioning? Were you is it while
I
you're
started.
experiencing this or after you get back? You got back.
Okay, so when I started questioning
Yeah.
was when I was in Mombasa. So one of my friends from the school, she asked me, like we were just having a general conversation, and then she said to me, "Imagine we're wrong. Imagine the Christians are right." She said something like that to me, and
Okay.
then like, because I never thought of it like that, I was so shocked. I was like, "Wait, you're right. What if we're wrong? What if we're praying to God? We're doing all of this only for us to go to hell at the end of the day because the Christians were right, you know?" And then we're having
Okay.
that
That's where
conversation.
it starts anyway.
Yeah, that's where it started. But
Yeah.
that wasn't really too serious, you know? That was kind of like at the back of my mind sometimes. So it did make me more curious. And it did open my mind a little bit because then it was kind of like you can't shut that off, you know? Now it's kind of like everything you do Islamically, you're just kind of like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this and it could be wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you don't really believe it, you know? Like you're still a good Muslim and you still believe what you're doing is like you know what's going to take you to Jannah kind of thing, to heaven basically. So after my second boarding school experience, that really because I was in I was in a cult. I'm going to be honest, like because it was a cultish, it was so extreme, like it was nothing like I had experienced ever before in my life, even though life with my mom was already bad enough, like with the Quran and the like basically my whole life is Islam. Like we can't even talk about haram things. Like if my mom hears you listening to music or even like first of all we're not allowed to listen to music. Like she will like if she feels like even if we're watching something like for example something like if a music channel is on TV or something she'll switch
Yeah.
off straight or change the channel kind of thing, you know. And
Yeah.
then she'll start saying you see this fitna blah blah blah, I need to throw this TV away. That's the kind of that's where she goes, you know. It's always to the extreme. Like
Yeah.
if she hears us singing, she'll be like, look at you singing when you could be memorizing the Quran kind of thing. So sometimes she'll get really angry and then we have to listen to Quran straight away after that. Or she'll just like talk shit, like say, oh, okay, look at you. You're memorizing shaitan's lies and blah, 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 blah kind of thing, you know?
The way
So
it
we,
sounds to me is like because religion was forced down your throat. At some point, you started questioning because it's being forced down your throat and it feels uncomfortable.
completely, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like it wasn't even to the fact it was uncomfortable. Like what was so weird, like it was force fed to me, 100%. Islam was force fed to me, but I had no doubt in my mind that it wasn't the true religion. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I fully 100% believe that. I did not enjoy the fact that I was force fed, and I really did think that my mom was doing too much. And I did think, I thought Islam was boring. I'm going to be so honest. I thought the Quran was boring. I thought reading it was boring. I thought learning about Quran, learning about the only thing that I found interesting was like the sirr, so the biography of the Prophet, because it was kind of like a story, you know, it's history. I like history, you know. So that's what I found interesting, like seeing what they did back in those times and what he did. It was entertaining. It was more entertainment, you know. Whereas the Quran and things like that, that's not entertaining. That's just really boring. You're just mumbling these Arabic words that you don't understand the meaning of, and you have to memorize it. Otherwise, you're gonna get beat up if you don't say it correctly without the tajweed, like the pronunciation and blah blah blah. It was so bullshit to me. Even when I
Yeah.
was a kid, you know, I never like I remember saying like rolling my eyes every time my mom decided randomly, no, you guys have to read Quran now, and it was like, oh my god, I don't want to do that anymore, kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, and I would feel bad. I would feel bad. I would feel like, why is it not like, why am I like, why do I have these feelings towards my religion? You know what I mean? Like, I always felt that. And I would say astaghfirullah, so God forgive me in my head all the time. Like, okay, shit, don't say that. That's haram. Don't say that. Don't say the Quran's
It's the
boring. Or
guilt. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
yeah. People do go through those phases
Yeah.
of guilt. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I would think that God is sexist, like all the time. Like, it's so unfair that my brothers get to do whatever the hell they want. Well, not really, because they live the same abuse as me, but they had slightly more freedom than me and my sister, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so that made it worse because, like, me and my brothers were suffering together, but then they would be allowed to go outside in the heat of Mombasa with shorts on, and we had to go outside with a jilbab on, you know? So yeah, exactly. So it was like, so unfair. Like,
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, Islam, and that's a fact we know, is quite misogynistic in that sense that
mhm,
men get to do sort of,
whatever they want.
yeah, the scene toward
Yeah,
the scene by men is, sort of, people can let it slide, but
yeah,
there's a lot of pressure on women not to sin. But anyway, um.
exactly.
I do want to, because I don't want us to run out of time. I do want to get
Mhm.
back into your story from the
Okay.
time now okay, you're living in this boarding school,
Mhm.
which is run by the
So,
director of of,
mhm,
of your mom, who is your mom's spouse, and
not at that time. Not at that time.
okay, and then and
We were
then,
there for a
what was the
while. They got married.
experience like in living in this boarding school? If you could
That
briefly
was,
get into that.
it was not bad at all. Like
The
that first
boarding
one,
school
it was
was not
bad.
bad.
No, it wasn't bad because we could watch TV with his wives and stuff, like, you know, because they had a TV. Um he would show us propaganda videos after, because he wanted to go
Wait,
to Syria and fight for ISIS.
the boarding school where you were, and now the Mombasa boarding school, the Islamic
Yeah,
boarding school, that wasn't bad.
yeah. No, that wasn't bad at all because we were
Oh,
not
okay.
abused for that. The school though, the actual school, we were abused every single day for talking, for I don't know, talking back to the teacher, basically talking, like doing the questions wrong, answering questions wrong, things like that. We were abused every day, reading the Quran wrong, blah blah blah. They would, like, the teachers, the Somali teachers, you know, and they would come with huge bamboo sticks and walking around beating people up. That was my life in
Physical
that school.
abuse.
Physical abuse, yeah. And the day school and the private school. But when we would go back, so I felt bad for the boys. For example, I felt bad for my brothers because they lived there, you know what I mean? And it was these same teachers that also lived there that would beat them up if they were like if they didn't go to sleep on time or if they
Yeah.
didn't go pray or stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas when I went to my boarding school, it was kind of a more chill environment. Like I felt like a day student, you know, it's okay, I'm gonna suffer this bullshit here. But at least when I go back to my bed, like there's no abuse, you know. I'm going to be
Now I
relaxing.
get you. I get you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So you mean
Yeah, and
like
it was
your night time or your rest time after school time wasn't as bad as your brothers.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. So yeah, so in the first boarding school, the one in Mombasa, that was okay because even though it was kind of weird, like let me just call him my stepdad because that's who he is. I don't know if they're still married now, but so basically my stepdad will show us all these propaganda videos every day talking about the Illuminati and how it's tied to the Dajjal and blah 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 and like ISIS is fighting for, you know, like do you know what's so crazy? What is so freaking crazy to me? Because I was in Africa these times when ISIS was like developing
Yeah.
and they were getting stronger, I didn't see them as terrorists. I didn't know they were terrorists. I didn't know anything about that. How I was presented, like how they were presented to me was as freedom fighters, so as mujahideen.
Because of the what you were consuming in terms of media, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Because you
yeah,
couldn't consume
yeah.
another media, you could
No,
only
no,
consume the
no.
media
Yeah,
that was filtered for
given
you.
to me or shown to me. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So when I heard of ISIS, because they weren't called ISIS, they were called Mujahideen, you know, like the Syrian Mujahids, you know,
Yeah.
that's how it went to me. And my stepdad used to show us a lot of videos on them. So how they're rebuilding Syria to make it an Islamic state so it to be in what's the word, in accordance to the Sharia law and how mashallah that is and blah 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 blah. That's the videos my stepdad used to show me. And I would be watching it like entertained because I'm watching something finally. But I wouldn't know
Because you
anything.
didn't have access to TV or
No.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Like
imagine like you have no access to TV and the only TV you can get is actually
yeah,
ISIS
exactly.
bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh my God.
exactly. ISIS fucking
Hang on,
I
I'm
was
gonna put
watching
my
propaganda
charger.
videos.
Yeah, go.
Okay, that's fine. So I was like watching ISIS propaganda videos all day, basically. And when I wasn't watching that, because like yeah, even though they had like the Kenyan TV, like I don't understand Kiswahili, you know, at the time anyway, I didn't understand a lot of Kiswahili, and it was really boring to watch people talking a different language. And most of the time they would be watching the news.
Yeah.
So we'd be like, okay, can we watch those videos? And he'd be like, yeah, sure, let's watch these videos. And
Baby, gosh. Okay.
I'm so shocked that I'm not Muslim right now, seriously.
Okay. Now, so let's now trace, and it's up to you if you can trace it or not. For most
Yeah,
people, I also cannot trace the pinpoint the exact place. But when
yeah.
exactly did you leave Islam?
Uh, Islam at 16. Okay, so basically it was after my second boarding school. I made a video about my boarding school
While
experience.
in Kenya, did
No,
you
no, no.
leave
Yeah,
conscious?
while in Kenya, yeah, I left.
Okay.
I left. I after doing so after my second boarding school experience, like I was wondering, okay, we're doing all this for Allah, and then I still have those kind of like questions in my mind, like maybe we're following the wrong religion. I was kind of thinking, but not really, you know what I mean? And then while I was in boarding school, after I suffered so much abuse, I was like thinking, what the fuck? Like, why do we have to suffer like this for you know, why do we have to suffer this much to please Allah, you know?
Hmm.
Why am I living such a like lifeless life? You know, I don't really have a life. Like all I'm doing all day is reading Quran, and I'm getting beat up for not reading the Quran or not waking up on time for Salah and things like that. And it's like all of that, it gave me an even more negative feeling of Islam. You know what I mean? It was like I even without, because it wasn't conscious, because obviously I was a Muslim then, so I don't want to associate negativity with Islam. Of course I don't, you know, because that's my religion.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, every time like something Islamically related, I'm bored or I'm upset or I'm angry and I don't want to talk about it. Like if my happiest moments were when we were not talking or we had nothing to do with Islam, you know what I mean? We could be talking about this guy and I'd be happy in that moment. But it's like Salah time and it's like, oh my God, you know, like that was my feeling.
Yeah, so the downer. Okay, so then there are all these people that, and we get this constantly as ex-Muslims. Oh yeah, you left because of abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
What
No,
would
I
you
did.
say that at?
I was still a Muslim. I was still a very good Muslim. I prayed 5 times a day. I would ask Allah for forgiveness. I would do the du'as and everything, even though I wasn't doing it like as like concentrated as possible. But let's be honest, how many Muslims do it that way? You know, how many Muslims today even pray 5 times a day? I had that fear in me that if I didn't pray, if I missed the prayer, I would have like anxiety attacks. I'll be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I missed Fajr. I missed Fajr. Fajr was an hour ago. Okay, okay, I'm gonna make it up. Blah blah blah. Like that was my mindset towards praying and things like that. So no, I didn't leave Islam because of the emotional reasons. I will say though that like the abusive and all of that, that is what was the catalyst for me to like not question, but like to verify. Okay, basically all I wanted to do was convince myself that it was right.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I don't remember exactly what it was that started it. I don't remember. I think I wrote, is there any contradictions in the Quran?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing that I Googled once I left the boarding school and I had access to the internet and things like that. So it was on my mind a lot, you know what I mean? It was kind of like, okay, I don't feel 100, you know, I don't feel like my faith is 100% there. But I did feel like that my entire life, you know. So it was something that was, you know. So I think that's one of the first things I Googled because I already said to myself, and my mom always said this to me. She said, if there's anything wrong in the Quran, then obviously it's not from an all-powerful, knowing Allah, you know, like, you know, why should we worship this deity if they're not even 100% accurate, you know?
Yeah. And so you Googled and
then
out of the curiosity and the questioning that you had and would you so when did you make the conclusion that you don't actually believe?
About 6 months later. So that was a rough 6 months because the first time I did it, I straight away I didn't even want to read the answers because like I would read something that I didn't agree with or that scared me because it started to show. It's like going towards, you know, it started going towards like, oh wow, this is maybe wrong, maybe my whole life is a lie, you know. It was going towards that, and then I'll stop googling it, and I'll be like, astaghfirullah, and then I'll go pray 2 rakah to ask for forgiveness. I was such a good Muslim. So I would do that and be like, Allah, please, I'm so sorry, I doubted you, I'm so sorry. But oh my God, so I would do that,
well,
and then the curiosity will always come back. Like I'm such a curious person, like I can't help it. I really can't help it. And then it was kind of like first and then it started becoming something that I had to like convince myself of. Okay, scientific miracles in Islam. That's what I would go for, and then I'll see them, and then they'll soothe my soul a little bit. Then it'll be like, okay, it's correct because Allah has shown us in these weird, mysterious ways that He exists. And then 5 seconds later, it's like Photoshop, though, you know.
Okay, but now I do want us I do want us to get back. I do want us to get back to how now you left, like just your personal journey, like how you left Africa and what happened, so that like we can kind of sort of complete the story.
Yeah. So about 6 months into researching it, I finally decided, like after I found like scientific errors and also contradictions in the Quran and a lot of things, then I started to when I started realizing that there's probably holes in the Quran, I started to turn to the Prophet who was the founder of the religion. So I decided, okay, let me look at his life, because my whole life I thought he was like this light, this shining being, like this guy that we shouldn't even imagine what he looks like, but he's pure energy, he's pure.
Yeah. That's exactly what you told in Islam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then when you start to dig a little deeper, you start realizing that he was actually a fucking terrible person. And it was like, and it's so funny. When I was 8 years old, when I was a child, I used to say, I wish I could marry the Prophet because then I would go to heaven.
Because it's so engraved in you that, I know.
Exactly. And do you know what? Now he would probably have married me if I was at 8 years old, that's his type, apparently. So it really became super upsetting for me that that's how he was, you know. And then when everything kind of came together, and then I couldn't not convince myself that he was a bad person, you know. And then it slowly started to like fit together that okay, yeah, this is a made up religion. But I when I found that out, by then I was already convinced that if Islam is not correct, then God doesn't exist. Like I'm sorry, but I'm not going to jump from one religion to another, like from
Yeah.
the fire and to the fire, you know. I'm not going to do that. So then I became an atheist, and I was like, okay, cool, interesting. But also it was really scary at the same time, because it was like I could be wrong though. I could still like 5% of me, 5%. Like I wasn't 100% sure. Like
Yeah.
that 5%, it was fair, you know. It was like, okay, I could walk outside right now and lightning can hit me and Allah will like curse me and I would die right here and then I'll go to hell.
I
You know,
think,
that's how I was
yeah, I
thinking
think
from
also that comes from the fear that is instilled in you as a
yeah,
child. That's not something
exactly,
that that you can really like shake off, even when you
exactly,
become an atheist. It's like
exactly,
that fear has been engraved in
exactly,
you. So
exactly.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
luckily I don't have that fear anymore. Like I really don't care. And if I did die, I swear to God, if I was hit by a car, I am not saying
You're
I'm not
swearing to God, Mr.
shahada.
Atheist.
Okay, but sorry. But I swear, okay, let me swear on my life because I'm a god. I believe I'm a god. I believe everyone's a god. So let me swear on my life. I swear on my life, I would not even say the shahada out of spite. I would be like, no. Like if my mom was at my deathbed and she was like, go on, just say la ilaha illallah. I'll be like, la ilaha. Bye. But
Okay,
I
okay.
wouldn't, you know, because that's where I am right now in my life. I'm so sure of it. And I remember coming out to my brothers and sisters. I didn't tell my mom. I was too scared to tell.
You
She would
came
pick me up.
out to your siblings.
Brothers, yeah, I came out to my siblings because we have a really close relationship and we tell each other everything,
Okay.
like everything. As soon as I decided, like the day that I decided, okay, cool, I'm convinced now. I don't think God exists and Muhammad was a pedophile. Like when I finally had that mindset, I went straight to my brother and sister. I was like, guys, I don't believe in God anymore. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm not Muslim anymore. Ex-Muslim. That's who I am. And because that term was on the internet as well, because I started researching, I was on like the ex-Muslim Reddits and stuff like that.
How was
And that
it
back
when you
then,
found out the term ex-Muslim?
that was it was so small then because this is such a long time ago. This was 8 years ago. Wait,
Mhm.
no, I can't. I'm 23 now and I was 16 then.
Mhm.
So it was a very long time ago. And there was not that many people. Like, of course, if you Googled ex-Muslim, a lot of things will come up. But
Yeah.
also it wasn't from like a lot of people don't really talk about their experiences, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And there wasn't that
That's
much
true.
content
Yeah,
and
that's
things like that, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Now the community has grown and
now
there's a bit
way
of yeah,
more.
there's quite
Oh,
a bit of content online. So if you
yeah,
Google
yeah,
it,
exactly,
some content will come up.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And most of the people that were talking about Muslims then were mostly atheists or other Christians, like Christians saying, by the way, did you know this is in the Quran kind of thing? And it was like, well, you know, the Bible's also, but let's not even get into that. So I came out to my brothers and sisters, and then I said to them, listen, I'm not Muslim anymore. And they were so upset. They were so upset. I was like, no, don't say that. Like that's please, like they were just pleading with me. Like they didn't judge me. They will never ever judge me. They didn't judge me. They just didn't want me to go to hell. That's how scared they were. They were like, no, you're going to burn in hell forever and ever and ever for eternity. And at least because like we all had similar mindsets. We knew that as soon as we have our freedom and we go to a Western country, we knew we were going to drink and we knew that we would like smoke weed or something. Like we knew that we wanted to party and like live a normal like
Yeah. Yeah.
teenage rebellious life. We knew that we wanted to do that, but it was also like, but at the end of the day, you still have to be Muslim, you know, at least to guarantee us your spots in heaven. That was the way that they
Yeah,
were thinking
okay.
of.
So, the, this whole coming out to your siblings and Googling stuff had this happened before you moved back to the West or before?
Yeah. So
Ah, okay. So how did
basically,
that go? I mean, okay, yeah, you've said that how they took it, but
yeah. So basically, after the second boarding school, we moved to Malaysia, and we were in Malaysia for about 6 months. I was still a Muslim then. I was still a Muslim, and you know, in that time, I kind of like had I wouldn't say more faith, but I kind of felt like, okay, life isn't that bad because now I'm not in boarding school anymore, and I'm in a country that's it's a different country, you know, a different environment,
Yeah.
and I felt it's cool, you know, and it's like, okay, people don't go to Asia every day, you know, I felt kind of special. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in Malaysia kind of thing. But that didn't last, so we were there for about 6 months, and then we came back to Kenya, which was the most depressing thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And but we weren't in Kenya long after that. After I became an atheist, I didn't tell my mom. It was crazy though because I told the cleaner, like I just said to her, I'm not Muslim anymore, and then she told my mom
In Kenya?
in Kenya, yeah.
Wow, kid. Okay. How did that go?
My mom asked me, my mom and my stepdad, they sat me down, and it was so crazy because I didn't have any warning signs, you know. They just said, come to our room, and then I went to that room, and then they said, sit down, and I was like, okay. And they were like, do you believe in God? And I was like, my heart, like, and I was like, yeah, I do. And then they're like, oh, because we've been told otherwise. And I was like, no, I just said I'm doubting. And then they gave me so much like Quran and stuff like that. They said, no, you can't doubt it. No, 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 no. Allah exists. This is the proof that we have, kind of thing. And then they started making me watch lectures with them and stuff like that. But I think because I lied to my mom every day since I was a kid, like every single day, because we don't want to upset her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just show her a different way. So basically, I'm pretty good at lying to her, I would say. So I think she was convinced. She was kind of like, okay, this is a normal doubting thing that she's going through. They didn't think that was totally like a kuffar, you know, like a disbeliever. They didn't believe that.
What would have happened if they really like found out what's in your heart?
My mom would kill me. My mom would kill me. 100%. 100%. Like I feel like if she doesn't commit suicide, she'll kill me. She'll put me 6 feet under, like an honor killing, because that's
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do to kuffar anyway, you know, to apostates.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, you were quite brave to actually. I don't know if you blotted it out or did you plan it? Did you like consciously say, okay, I'm gonna tell people that, or was it like just came out?
Oh no, it just kind of came out. I because our cleaner was a Christian,
Yeah.
and then we were talking about religion. I said to her, I don't think I believe it. I don't think it's true, you know. And then she was so shocked. She was like, no, what do you mean you don't believe in God? And I was like, I don't think I do. I don't, like, come on, where is he then?
Yeah,
Where's the
and I
proof?
tweet this quite often, and I also like I was an unbeliever for about 6 years while I was still living in Kenya, and I couldn't
Mhm,
I couldn't really say,
mhm.
and not, and some people would ask, yeah, but you know, Kenya is not exactly an Islamic country. It's like, yeah, but it's a very godly
You're
country.
religious. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter about your religion. They
Yeah,
really truly believe
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can imagine then the cleaner, a Christian, going to your
Yeah.
parents or your mom and
Yeah.
telling her what you
Yeah. I
sort of
think, yeah, because
blotted
I
out.
think yeah, I think she was worried, to be honest.
She was worried
I was,
about you.
yeah, I think the cleaner was worried because like the way that she took it when I said to her, I don't think I kind of believe it. Like the way she took it, like she was like, what? No, 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 no. What are you talking about? No, 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 don't say that. Like that's the way that she took it kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do blame her for telling her because telling my mom because if I died that day, it would have been her fault and also my mom for killing me. But she would have been like the reason, you know? But
No, but your story is
luckily,
so
thank God.
intriguing because of the many lucky escapes. Lucky
Yeah,
escapes. I'm really sorry that you've had to go through all these experiences, but like, you know, lucky escapes in that sense of you just
mm,
blotting out while you're in Kenya, and your mom finding out. But okay, now let's talk about at what point did you leave this
exactly.
boarding school type situation and get back to your country where you live?
Okay, so basically, when we came back to Kenya,
From
my best
Malaysia.
I think, yeah, from Malaysia, yeah. So we got in contact with my biological father. So my mum and him got divorced when I was really young. I was about 5, 6 or something, like baby.
Yeah.
So my dad moved to Canada. so we didn't see or speak to him the entire time. And then he got in touch. My mom kind of got in touch with someone that knew him, and so we sometimes had conversations with him, but not really, like really truly. But once we knew that we have another parent out there that lives in Canada, that was like our ticket, you know. It was like, oh my God, we have a chance to escape now, you know.
Mhm.
Maybe my dad will take us, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
we could never talk to him unless we were supervised. So we could never say to him, like, please take us away, kind of thing. But we'd kind of hint at it, you know. And then one day we got
What would you mean, like the conversation that, like, when you were talking on the phone with him, that you be supervised, so you couldn't really directly say? So because you
yeah.
didn't also have access to your own type of phones?
So like
Okay,
okay,
got it.
so my mom would, okay, as I said before, my mom buys anything we want. Like if we ask her for it and she believes that we've behaved well enough to get it, then we'd get it. But she controls it. For example, we did have a phone, but she'll just take it away as punishment, or she'll like throw it away as punishment. And we can only use it specific times that she lets us have it while
Mhm.
she's watching us use it. For example, she bought us laptops. We managed to get, because mom was not very technical, and we had a computer room. So she used to lock the computer room, but we used to like sneak in from the window. We were very sneaky kids. Like we found a way for everything. And even though we didn't know the Wi-Fi password, we were very technical. Like we knew that if you go on like the IP address and things like that, you can find your like you
Yeah, but
can
how,
yeah.
in this whole
So we would
time,
do stuff
then
like
what
that.
the
Yeah.
wasn't there a way that, like, did anybody not like give you a tip, or did you not know that you could actually call the British embassy in Kenya, in Nairobi, and get help?
Um,
Or did you
yeah, we
feel
knew that.
like,
We knew that because a lot of Dakhan Ellis people, Dakhan Ellis children did that. Like one out of every three Dakhan Ellis went to the embassy.
hmm
That was so common. You just heard stories of, yeah, you know, she went to the embassy or he went to the embassy and he's back in whatever country. Like
yeah,
everyone knew that. But I didn't want my mom to go to prison. I don't want, because of course she's gonna get arrested when she goes back, you know, depending on what we tell the embassy. If we tell the embassy, yeah, she locked us, she threw us in a fucking boarding school and we hated it there and we got abused every day, like that's classifies as child neglect, you know.
so you're kind of
And
protecting your mom.
yeah, exactly. I was protecting her, which is so ironic because she wasn't protecting me when I was getting abused in that boarding school. And but anyway, that's a different story.
No,
So
but it's fun. I mean, it's nobody expects you as a child to really figure this out and to have that kind of strength,
exactly,
and
exactly,
like, because there's always the love and loyalty, and you obviously don't want to put your parent in trouble and that kind of stuff. So,
exactly,
but at the same
exactly.
time, for for our audiences that will be watching this, I kind of just want to give what would you say to them? What would you have done differently?
First of all, I would never have let that happen to me again. Like for example, if I were to go back in time with the knowledge that I have right now, I would have gone to the embassy straight away. Find any way that I could go to the embassy as safely as possible, though, because at the end of the day, it is Africa, and you can get arrested by the police, and like a lot of stupid shit can happen to you, you know, especially when you have a different accent or like they can clearly tell that you are a foreigner, you
Hmm.
know. They try to take advantage of that, like they try to get money out of you or
Yeah,
something. So,
with the corruption is quite rife in
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
in places like that. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if I planned it properly, especially living in Nairobi, even Mombasa, that would have been okay. I could have just paid for my ticket to take the coach, to take the bus from Mombasa to Nairobi, and then from Nairobi get a taxi to the embassy. Very simple, very very simple. I think I could afford to do that with even I don't know 1,000, 2,000 shillings, you know. But the
And
problem would
for
have been what would
prevention
I get?
purposes, what would you tell kids that are, okay, let's say,
Right now,
born in Western and westernized and whatever,
yeah, exactly. That
and
are
yeah,
being Arabs or are ex-Muslims. So the
oh yeah,
ex-Muslims,
and
uh,
ex-Muslims,
yeah.
or whether they're in the closet or not.
I'm telling them to escape because, but then it depends. It really depends on your situation. My situation, I would say, was kind of like on the extreme side of the spectrum. If your life was easier than mine, by all means, run away. If you have to steal money from your parents, steal it because you have a right to live. You have a right to have the life that you want to have. And most likely, if your parents don't want you to leave Africa, then you're not going to have the best quality of life, especially. And the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to keep depressing yourself. And then you'd have to go to extreme measures to escape. For example, getting married or something.
Oh yeah, which brings me, there was at some point that out of desperation you considered getting married was the only way
Yeah,
to get
I
out.
wanted to get married. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talk
Because
about
my mom
that.
said to me, yeah, my mom basically said to me, I can't afford to go to, like, I can't afford for you to go to uni. So maybe you can get a job or something. Like she was saying something along those lines, and it was like, excuse me, I can just go back to the UK and study basically for free. I mean, yeah, I'd have to get a loan, but like I can do that by myself. Why are you ruining my life? Like my life is already fucked up, but now you're destroying my future kind of thing. So I was considering getting married because then I thought she would at least give me my passport then, because I'm an adult.
So, and this is when you were still in Kenya and you haven't got back, right? Can you
No,
talk?
yeah, that was before we came back, yeah.
Okay, can you talk about how exactly you got back?
Okay, so yeah, so basically my mom kicked us out.
What do you mean?
She kicked us out. She kicked me, my brother, and my sister out, except my little brother. But it wasn't for reasons to do with Islam or anything like that. It was more like family issues. So like the problems that we're having with my stepdad, and so
Oh, with the director
my
of the
yeah
guy who was running the boarding
yeah
school where you were locked
yeah
at, and
yeah
so you had issues with, and so your mom kicked you out while in Kenya.
yeah while we we're in Kenya, yeah, she kicked us out
Okay.
to the streets. Yeah, so basically she kicked us out, and then we got in touch with like 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 the your people are the same qabila as you kind of.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know
relatives
how
or
Somalis that yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So Somalis
extended family.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So Somalis always say everyone's your cousin or everyone's your auntie or your uncle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in this case it was kind of true. Yeah, it was kind of true. So we knew we had our cousin that lived in Nairobi. My granddad and his grandma, I think were siblings or something. I don't know. Something they're very kind of close to us.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But we're very distantly related.
Yeah.
So luckily we had him on Facebook. So when my mom kicked us out, we went to our neighbor's house and we got access to Facebook and we messaged and we said, listen, my mom kicked us out and before she changes her mind kind of thing, um we need to like escape. This should be like our opportunity to get the fuck out of this country, contact my dad because 100% they will be able to contact my dad because Somali, like Somali people, like they
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
contact
They
anyone.
can have ways of yeah, within the
Exactly.
community they can contact each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was our chance, and we even though my mom kicked us out, that was basically the happiest day of my life. It was like, okay, great. Bye forever kind of thing, we're gonna try finding my dad. So when we got in contact with my dad, yeah, we tried to tell him, okay, well, you need to get us a ticket, we need to go to Canada kind of thing. And then it was super fucked up though because like my relatives, they brought us back. They brought us back.
Wait. They brought you back? What do you mean?
Yeah, they brought us back. They brought us so okay. So while that was happening, so my family were like, "Oh, your mom, like, yeah, what she did was terrible. Why did she kick our kids out? Blah blah blah." You know what I mean? But don't worry, we're gonna send you to your dad, kind of thing. Like that's what they told us, and we were like,
Yeah.
okay. And they were the ones looking after us, feeding us. We were with them for 2 weeks. And then after that, one day they said, okay, let's go get food. And then we went to a restaurant. And then after that, they said, guys, we're taking you back to your mom. And I was like, no, 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 no. Please don't take me back to my mom. I don't want to go back. I want to go to Canada. I want to go to my dad. And they said, no, we have to take you back to your mom. So they took us back to my mom and they said, you have to apologize to her. And then we apologized to her. And yeah, my mom said, it's okay, I forgive you. And it was like, for what exactly? But anyway, so after that, my mom said, I think it's time for you guys to move to your dad's house.
So the relatives that you asked for help to connect you to your dad and to see how you can get out of the country and to go to Canada to your estranged dad, who you kind of didn't know, sort of took you back to your mom.
Yeah, it was the worst day of my life. Well, I have many worst days, but anyway, that was
So
like
what happened after that?
heartbreak. After that, my mom, because we were already in the process of talking to my dad. My dad was already buying the tickets. Everyone kind of knew, kind of thing. I think she was like, my mom felt hishod, like she felt embarrassed.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we obviously told him everything.
Okay.
Like, it was kind of, because that was our plan. Our plan was not to come back to go to Canada, you know. So we'll try to like burn as many bridges, like basically say everything, expose everything. That's what we decided to do, and we did. We exposed everything. But the problem was there's Somalis at the end of the day, and Somali people always value like older people's opinions usually.
Words, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also Islam as well, like they're like, that's your mom, you know. Your mom is the most important, you know. Jannah is under your mom's feet kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like they just took us straight back to her after 2 weeks. But anyway, it was because in those 2 weeks my dad already bought the ticket and the mom said, okay, fine, you guys can go. And then we said, okay, cool. Bye. And then we moved to Canada. And the first thing we said to my dad, the very, very first thing we said to him is, listen, we know that you're my dad, like, nice to meet you kind of thing, blah, 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 blah. But you cannot control my life, like, at all. We will respect each other as human beings, but anything more than that, up to you. I'm not going to listen kind of thing. We told him that straight. We were like, we're not taking any more abuse anymore.
You were rebellious kids, like you've been through the worst, so you ain't telling us nothing kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then he said, but my dad's like super reasonable, and he was like, okay, cool. He said, all right, that's fine, but like be respectful. And we said, well, of course we're gonna be respectful. We're not gonna insult you. We're never gonna do anything. Like, we're not going to, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, we're treating you kind of like as a friend rather than as a parent because we don't know each other. You know what I mean? And also, my stepdad, he already like he got married to my mom. He basically started to he decided to fill that father position basically immediately, you know, starting saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, and then started to like discipline us. And by discipline, I mean he started to actually physically abuse us too, you know what I mean? So we didn't want anyone to fill that father position. It was like, no, sorry, we don't have a dad, even though you are my dad. You're just my biology. You're basically the sperm.
You've been through so much. Okay.
I know. But yeah, so basically we told my dad we don't want to you can't tell us what to do kind of thing. And he said okay, and we said to him, we're not wearing hijab. I'm not gonna wear hijab. I'm gonna wear whatever I want. And he said, okay, cool. You can wear whatever you want. And we said to him, Quran, things like that. You know, we're on partying, you know, you're gonna let us go partying? He said, yeah, of course you guys can party. And we said, okay, cool. We're gonna have a beautiful relationship. And then
so Canada was the happy moment, so sort of speak after the ordeal in Kenya. And so now you live in the UK? You're back in the UK?
Now I live in the UK. Yeah, I'm back in the UK. We had a lot of immigration problems in Canada. Yeah, so because of that, we came back to the UK, and also I wanted to go to, because in Canada I turned 18, yeah, before I went to Canada a little bit. So I went to Canada at the end of 2014. Yeah, so basically a little bit after my birthday, so around October, and we were in Canada until 2016. I don't remember the month, but we were in Canada for at least a year and almost 6 months, basically. So almost, yeah. So we were there for a long time, and I was finishing my high school diploma there. So I was finishing basically the equivalent to finishing high school, so that I can go to university. So we were enrolled in a school. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to get my life back on track, because then I thought to myself,
together with your siblings at this moment.
Yeah, and they were also in, yeah.
So you all left Kenya together intact, and then
Yeah,
went to your dad
yeah,
in Canada, and
yeah,
then stayed a
as
couple
well.
of a year and a half, and
Yeah.
then what happened?
And then after that, I had to go to university. And okay, so the thing was, I was thinking of it from the perspective, like even when we went to Canada, even though my dad was the one technically looking after us, the way that I saw it was, I'm in charge of my life now, you know. Anything that I do from this day forward is up to me. So if I'm going to university, I'm going to do that. I will be the one to come. I'm not going to rely on anyone anymore because people have disappointed me my whole life, kind of thing. And there's a way that I see my life going, and that's how I'm going to like
So you
basically
had
move.
turned 18 at this moment,
Yeah, I was
right?
18. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
Okay.
18, and then by 19 we went to the UK. We had problems with my dad because, to be very honest, he started to try to control us. You know what I mean? We did not take that very well. We didn't take that good at all, and we basically lost all respect for him.
Mhm.
You know, because he would try to like say, like, I guess it was reasonable the things that he would say. Like, for example, he'll say, if you come back, don't come back. You have to come back by 11, and it'll be like, I'm 18. I'm gonna come back whenever I want, kind of thing.
Mhm.
That's what I was like, you know. So he got upset about that, and then we would have arguments about things like that. But he wasn't ever physical, and he would never like we would never felt afraid of him. We were more
Okay.
like, yeah, we were more like, you're a stranger to me, you know, like you didn't raise
Okay, so
me,
he
kind of.
didn't, and that's understandable. He was absent throughout your
Yeah,
childhood, so
yeah,
uh, chances are it won't work out. So you moved back to the UK. How,
yeah.
how
So we
how
moved back
exactly
to the UK.
did you do this? Like,
Um,
did he send you? Did you
no,
apply to
no,
come back to the UK? How did you do this?
no. This is a really sad story.
Tell me.
You know, I already since I've already said everything, I'm just gonna say this part too.
Yeah.
Basically, we went. So my dad promised that. Okay, so he said that he's going to live with us in the UK, and he's going to build a life. With like he said that he's since as his children we don't have citizenship in Canada. He said it's a lot easier for me to just move to the UK, and then I'm gonna buy a house and we're gonna have a life here. So which I was super excited about. But when we moved here, he came. We lived with his friends, like some. So my dad's sister is German, so she lives in Germany and she's been living in Germany her whole life. So her neighbor as a kid, so like anyway, some Somali relative, we lived with her when we first landed. So we went to her house first.
Hmm.
And yeah, after like, and then my brother had a fight with my dad, and then he left and he went back to Canada in the night. And we were stuck with this woman that we don't even know. So because of that, so because my dad left,
Wait.
and we were
He
in the
went.
middle
He
of nowhere, like
came. Okay,
that,
your
yeah,
estranged dad came with
yeah,
you from
yeah,
Canada, which was
with
his
her,
normal residence, to come and live with you
yeah,
guys in the UK.
yeah,
But because of some other, family squabbles, he left you guys with
yeah,
somebody
he
who
left, he
is
left,
his relative or something.
yeah, some Somali woman with 3 kids, 3 little kids.
Oh, poor you.
And it was super hard. It was super hard because my passport expired, and when we were in Canada, we had to give our passports to the immigration office so that they can do our visa for us.
Hmm.
But because my dad he wasted a lot of time. He waited until our visas expired because we only had a 6 months visa. He waited until that expired for him to like actually get lawyers and things like that involved for them to do our sponsorship.
Hmm.
But throughout that time, I didn't really care because I was already enrolled in school. They can't just kick me out of school, you know what I mean? And in Canada, they don't deport you.
Hmm.
They wait for you to leave, and when you leave, you can't come back, kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know. So I didn't mind, to be honest. Like I never really thought, like even though I have a lot of friends in Canada and I had a really good experience there, I don't really think that I would go back to Canada if I left.
Hmm.
And I was also really happy to go to the UK because I haven't been to the UK for 6 years, and that's my home, and that's where I grew up, and that's where my cousins live, and my family live, and my grandma lives. You know what I mean? Like all these people that I haven't seen for 6 years.
Okay, so you because of all these immigration problems and whatnot, and here you back in the UK, and how was life, picking
Oh,
up life?
it was fucking terrible. I was only 19 years old. Because now as a 23-year-old, I see my sister. My sister is 20 now. So I remember her as 19, and she's completely okay. I don't want to say anything bad about her, but like I'm going to be honest, immature, immature. 19-year-olds are immature. Like
Yeah.
you can't really give a lot of responsibility to a 19-year-old because they're kind of figuring life out at that point. And at 19, I was responsible for my 16-year-old sister and my 17-year-old brother who was turning 18 because my dad left us there. And we didn't have our passports. We had photocopies because we had an emergency passport when we left Canada.
You were the parent, the new parent.
I was a parent, yeah, exactly.
Of your younger siblings.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the woman that was in the house, she had no sympathy for us. Like she was nice when my dad was there. She was like acting so innocent, so sweet. The second my dad left, she was like, guys, I don't really want you in my house if you're not going to pay rents, the same day that my dad left. And I was like, well, I don't have a job and I've never had a job in my life kind of thing.
I just survived the ordeal in Kenya.
Exactly. And then she said, well, you have to find a job. And my grandma, basically my entire family living in London. My whole family lives in London. My mom's family lives in London. And for
Did you
some reason,
contact your extended family then in London?
No, because my mom told me not to. She said, don't call them. And I'm so stupid. I didn't call them. I don't know why. I made my life super hard for no reason because my mom said, don't call them. And I was still listening to my mom. I don't know why. Because like in Canada, we didn't really call her too much, because we don't want to talk to her. We were finally free from her, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But came back to the UK, it was like, shit. My dad left. Hoya, my dad left. Like, fuck, what are we gonna do, kind of thing. And then she said, don't worry, you're gonna get a job. You're responsible for your brother and sister now. That's like the way that she was saying. She was like, you're their parents now. And I was like, no, I'm not their parents. What the fuck? Like, I don't understand what I'm doing because even when I was in Canada, yeah, I was going to school, but I was still an immature little kid. Like, I was completely ignoring my dad because I wanted to like party and have fun and do things like that. And now I'm given this responsibility to look after my brother and my sister. And my dad's fucked off. I don't know where the fuck he is. And my mom is saying, no, get a job. And I'm like, no, I don't want to fucking get a job. Just help me, please. What the fuck? Like, I don't remember when it was so weird because I remembered where my grandma, but
yeah.
I didn't know exactly. Sorry, this is a long story. It's a really long story.
No, but it's such an intriguing story that is like an epitome of strength. I mean, I'm just sitting here and I'm listening and I'm just like looking at this child. I mean, you've just like you're a young adult, but you've literally been through so much in your entire life, and I can see the strength in the way you speak as well. How is life now?
Oh, life is great right now. Life is very, very nice. I don't have to look after anybody except myself. Okay, yeah, I do support my sister, obviously, but she's in university now, and I'm in my last year of university, and I have my own place. I do whatever I want, whenever I want. I'm not worried about my sister, like at all. Like obviously, yeah, I think I do. Like it's hard. Like as a older sibling, you still have like kind of mother instincts for your siblings.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But mine is stronger because I did technically raise my sister from 16 till 20. So for 4 years, yeah, I was raising my sister for 4 years basically. So yeah, making sure that she was fed, she had clothes, she had everything. So I would work crazy hours. I worked like 60 hours a week in restaurants. And but then we finally did find my grandma and my auntie. We moved in with them until we got a place. So yeah, it was a lot like lots of working, but like it was good because when I was in my grandma, she forced my brother to work. She was like, "What the fuck? Like you're an adult, go work," kind of thing, which was great because then the burden wasn't just on me. In the beginning, yes, it was, but after that, like my brother got a job too, so it was okay. We could both like kind of sustain ourselves. and my sister was enrolled into college, so we were all doing. So basically, it took us about 6, 7 months to get back on track. So
And
yeah,
you're studying. What are you studying? Because that's really
I'm studying
interesting.
software engineering right now. So
Wow.
I do basically programming. Yeah.
Wow. And your do you have relationships with your mom and your dad and your
No,
parents?
I don't have a relationship with my dad. Like, to be honest, like it's gotten to the point. Okay, so like I was still talking to my mom when I came back to the UK after everything. Like I would talk to her, and then um, I am such an idiot because I would send her money like whenever she asked me for money, and I would send her a
Right.
lot of money. I
No
would
fucking
send
way.
her like, yeah, yeah. She'll ask me for money. She'll be like, "You work now, send me money," and then she'll kind of like guilt trip me into sending her money. And it was like, okay, I'm looking after your children, making sure that I'm buying groceries and like paying rents and like doing everything, and you'll start asking me for money. What the fuck? And she'll be like, "No, I don't have any money. Like this is Africa, you know." And it's like, okay, well, tell your husband to look after you then, you know. The same one that we got kicked out because of like ask him for money kind of thing, you know. But I never said that. I don't know why. I never said anything like that. I just felt bad, and then I would send her money. And then it became a thing where she started expecting me to like send her money every Eid or every couple of months. And it was like, and then my mom, my grandma, and my auntie were like, "No, stop doing that. What the fuck?" Like,
Okay.
once I cut it, you know.
That okay, so do you do that because you feel like you owe your mom anything, or do
Yeah,
you
I felt, yeah, 100%. I felt like it's because she raised me, and the reason I'm alive right now is because of her. And really, I've seen my mom struggle so many times, you know, because she had 4 kids by herself and paying for everything. She paid for us to go through private school. Like I don't like she's like really smart. Like she can find ways of making money. You know what I mean? She's always had like different businesses and things like that. And yeah, so she was great at that. She's like a really business minded kind of person. But I did see her struggle in between those times. You know, like not struggle to put food on the table, but kind of like she would like, okay, for example, I don't know, like maybe we'd have to move to a cheaper place, or, you
Oh,
know,
okay, okay.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, of course I felt like, yeah, she gave me life and she sustained my life. So I have to do the same for her, you know? And it was kind of like at the end of the day, if I had all the money in the world, I
No,
would
but
give most of, you know,
it's always up to you how you deal with the yeah. But I mean, it's been quite an intriguing story to hear,
yeah.
and it's
Oh,
one of the most and I really like the way you can articulate it and you can talk about
thank
it.
you. I am so proud of the fact that I am a non-Muslim now and a lot of the things that I went through. So, oh yeah, fun fact: my mom doesn't know that I'm a atheist. She doesn't know anything.
But
She doesn't know
okay, what if
anything.
she sees this content, like this
Um,
interview we're doing and the videos that you put out and that sort of thing? Would there be
kind of
consequences?
no, I don't think there'll be consequences. Like like even if she came here,
Hmm.
um, she doesn't have that power over me anymore, you know. And it's crazy because it was very. I came to this conclusion last year. You know, I saw like I would say to myself, she doesn't have power over me, but I would still do the things that she will tell me to do. For example, sending her money, or I would feel guilty when I didn't call her back, or things like that, you know. But now it's come like, especially when you like when I look at my life and like for example, when I talk about it with my friends and stuff, about like all the fucked up shit that happened to me in my life, there's always that one constant. Like my mom did that, you know, like most of the time, like it was her fault that all of this happened to me, and why should like I know it's kind of evil to say this, like I do
No,
love
it's
her
not.
so much.
It's
I love
actually
she's my
no,
mom, you
it's
know.
yeah, and it's also understandable about the love and loyalty, but yeah, at some point you do reach that level where you kind of sort of say yeah, that people don't have power over you and that you have every right to live whichever
Exactly,
way you want to live your life
exactly,
and
exactly,
with happiness and freedom and autonomy and that sort of thing.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So now I feel like to be very honest, she's gonna find out. 100% she's gonna find out. Maybe she won't find out today, maybe she won't find out in next year. But I decided that I'm not going to tell her.
You're not gonna have the
I
conversation with
thought,
her.
no, I think it's funnier for her to just find out. And then her to
What
be
would
like,
what
oh,
would you?
I made a whole YouTube video.
How do you imagine the conversation would go?
Oh, she would, like, let me just say this in Somali. ويخرعمسة.
I'm gonna translate that in English. She blew up.
Yeah, I guess like she will.
Is
She
that
would
the right
panic,
translation?
panic. I
Panic
don't.
attack. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
more
she'll
like
have a panic attack.
yeah.
I honestly think that she'll be, because it's so ironic that the most Islamic person, like, I mean, I guess it happens quite a lot actually.
Also
The most
physical.
Islamic person.
Yeah, are you afraid of physical harm if you were
Um,
to have a direct contact
with my mom at this point, no, because after this, it depends on her reaction, you know, like if she reacts very, very negatively, then I probably will not have her in my life ever again, you know. I don't think I could forgive her because there's a lot of things that she's done. I've given her too many chances, you know. So I think if she reacts horrifically, and she most likely will, if I'm being honest, then I guess I just won't talk to her, you know, like it's not a big deal for me anymore, you know. Like I understand human beings, a lot of human beings are not good, you know. So you just have to accept that, like there's nothing you can do to change it, and I don't want to waste any more energy into feeling depressed or feeling sorry for myself, or because now, as I said before, like my life is in my own hands now, and if something makes me upset, if something depresses me, then I guess I'm not going to have it anymore. It's just gone. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to cut it off, you know. And I think that's the healthiest way that
but
I can.
you come off as such a strong and articulate person despite what you've been through. And I wanted to ask you, and you can you know you can choose if you don't want to answer this. If you've sort of like sought any sort of therapy or you know and after kind of you know mental health help or whatever.
Yeah. So because I don't know if I mentioned this, like I suffer from really, really bad depression. So I have chronic depression, and it varies in intensity. Sometimes it'll be for a week, sometimes it'll be for 3 months straight, where I'm like I won't leave my bed or anything. So that in the beginning, I
Oh, you got cut off.
didn't
Oh, this is so good. You got cut off.
really know how to
Wait,
go
wait,
about it.
wait,
But then when I
wait,
went to the doctor,
wait. You
oh,
got cut off.
sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you got cut off. Okay, go back to where you
Oh,
were
sorry.
saying at the
Yeah.
beginning and blah blah.
Yeah, so I suffer from chronic depression. So and it depends, like it varies in intensity. Sometimes I'm just depressed for a week, which is like the good week, like that's the good month. If I was only depressed for a week, then it's like okay, I had a great month. But sometimes it'll be like for 3 months, 3 months straight, I'm not feeling okay at all, and I won't leave my bed. I'll sleep all day. I can sleep for 16 hours a day when I am depressed, and I miss a lot of work, you know, and I miss a lot of like I won't do it every day. Sometimes like whenever I have the energy, I will actually leave. But even then I'm on autopilot mode, you know. I am not a highly functioning depressed person. I can't function at all most of the time when I am depressed. So because that was becoming more and more of a problem for me, especially which was crazy because when I was 19 and I had to take care of my brother and sister, I was depressed the whole time. But because I think it was like the fear of being homeless was like more intense than but when I did settle down, that's when everything kind of like crashed on me, and it was like, whoa, all those things happen to you. Now's the time to feel it. Now that you're allowed to feel it, I guess. But yeah, then I was put on antidepressants because obviously I have university and I have to work and I have to like sustain myself. So they helped, but also not really because I still get depression and stuff. But and also when you're too depressed to take your pills, it's kind of like counter it basically counters it. So yeah, so I do want to go to therapy. I really, 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 really want to go to therapy because I feel like I have a lot of unresolved trauma because the way that I deal with my problems now, I don't deal with my problems. I figure out if it's important. If it's important, then I would do something about it. But if it's something that I deem unimportant, and what I mean by unimportant is anything emotional is unimportant to me.
Oh my
Which
gosh,
is
I'm
super
crying. So those.
which is, it's super fucked up. Like anything emotional, I feel like it's not important, so I don't think about it and I try not to go and deal with it. But it builds up because it's at the back of my brain, and then I get depressed. So it's like, fuck, why do I need like a way to like talk to a therapist and like actually break it down, because I won't even remember the things that are depressing me, because like, you know, with depression you
Oh my
you
gosh, I
are
just want to
very
hug you
forgetful.
through
You
the
forget
screen
everything.
right now.
It's okay. It's okay. Seriously. No, don't cry. Don't cry. It's okay. Seriously. It's
Okay,
okay.
but
It's okay. It's okay. I'm super happy now. So it's okay. It's fine. I do need therapy though. I'm gonna be honest. I do need therapy, and I will find a way to do that. I think, but I will focus on that once I graduate, when I have more free time, because I want to get a good grade so I can get a good job so I can have a good life.
really super. You know, you have to give yourself credit. You're extremely strong
I do.
person.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I know I am.
really,
I know I am. That's why I don't let
resilient
myself.
person.
Yeah. Thank you. Because that I don't let myself. That's the thing with me. I don't let myself get too deep into things, because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I've suffered through worse. I've suffered, like, it's kind of fucked up that that is my standard. It's like the fucked up shit is my standard. So it's like, where is it from there to, I don't know. And it's like, oh, it's over here. Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that, and then move on, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But
Oh my
that,
God.
you see, the thing
Yeah.
is, it's also not. It's. I mean, if you have to do that as the standard, then it means that you don't know what the normal standard is. Then that's because you know what I mean.
I don't know what's normal.
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't know. There's so much bullshit that I do tolerate, especially like, and also like learning, like as I started to like, since I have my freedom now, I have to do a lot of self-discovery, you know, to realize. And I realize my threshold of bullshit is so high. It's so, like, people could do a lot of really fucked up shit to me, and I wouldn't even know the difference, because I would kind of feel like, ah, I don't really care. I'm not focused on that kind of thing. And people will be like, no, that's not right. Don't let people do that to you. And it's like, but I'm so numb to it. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm not gonna let them step all over me, but I feel like if I did, I wouldn't even feel like upset about it, because it'll kind of be like, okay, they want to be negative, let them be negative, kind of thing. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how
No,
to.
it's the tolerance. It's the tolerance level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there were times I was like that, but I did go through. I did go to therapy myself, and I had to like unpack. I had to unpack a lot of things.
Everything. Yeah. How was it though? Can you tell me about it? Because
it's
I don't really
hard,
know.
but it's also very helpful. It can be hard, like at the beginning, but it also depends on, you know, the click with the actual therapist and that sort of thing. For different people, different things work. For me, it was a combination of things, of writing things down, even if I won't show anybody, and that sort of thing, and also talking, and a lot of self care and whatnot, and had friends, and finding, you know, finding new families, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Because family is not exactly just, you know, like the one that we biologically blood born with.
I've learned that,
yeah.
I've learned, because like because of this whole thing, like, blood is thicker than water. It really lets them do whatever the fuck they want to you. Seriously. And I'm not with that anymore.
Well, I
don't
really,
allow that.
really wish you the best, Naz, and I'm so happy that we actually redid this at 1 hour and 50.
Me too. I know. I'm sorry, I talk so much.
No, it's not. No, seriously. I mean, this is great. It's been so insightful. I'm glad we got into. I feel like your story that hopefully I'll have you back again, because I feel like it's I feel like it's not, we haven't covered everything that we probably wanted to, or the audience would have some questions or whatever. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank
This was
you.
really, really great. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Don't forget to go on my channel, though. If you want to see
Yeah,
more.
definitely.
Ah.